There's this hidden force that's quietly shaping almost every single preference you have. I'm talking about everything from the brands you buy, to the music you like, and even the people you find yourself trusting. It works so subtly, you probably don't even notice it's happening. But today, we're gonna put it right under the microscope. Seriously, think about it. You know that song, the one you just could not stand the first time you heard it, or the second, or the 10th. Then, all of a sudden, one day, you find yourself humming it. Maybe you even kind of like it. So what changed? The song didn't get better, something in your brain did. And the reason why is just fascinating. So this isn't just some random quirk of your brain. Nope, it's a well-documented psychological phenomenon. It's called the familiarity principle. Let's dive into the science of why what's familiar just feels so good. Okay, the official name for this whole thing is the mere exposure effect. And really, it's exactly what it sounds like. We tend to start liking things for one very simple reason. We've been exposed to them before. It's got nothing to do with quality or logic or some big debate in your head. It's just repetition. And listen, this isn't some new pop psychology fad either. Researchers were noticing this all the way back in the 19th century. One psychologist back then actually described it as a glow of warmth we feel when we're around something familiar. I kind of like that. So how in the world did scientists prove that this glow of warmth was actually real? Well, it involves a series of truly weird and kind of brilliant experiments. Let's get into the evidence. The guy who really put this whole theory on the map was a social psychologist named Robert Zajonc. Back in the 1960s, he set out to prove that just being exposed to something over and over again is powerful enough all by itself to make us like it more. And Zajonc's experiments were just wild. In one, scientists played certain musical tones to chicken eggs. After the chicks hatched, guess what? They consistently preferred the sounds they'd already heard while they were still in the shell. In another one, people were shown a bunch of random Chinese characters. They had no idea what they meant, but they consistently said they liked the characters they had seen before more. The effect is so powerful, it even works with subliminal images. Pictures flash so fast, you don't even consciously see them. But my absolute favorite experiment has to be this one. A professor at Oregon State University had a student come to his class every single day inside a giant black bag. Seriously, you could only see the student's feet. At first, the other students were, well, they were hostile. But as the weeks went by and this black bag just kept showing up, their hostility turned into curiosity. And then, eventually, it turned into friendship. They actually started greeting the bag, all because they just saw it over and over again. Okay, so we know this happens. But why? Why does our brain do this? Why does seeing something again and again actually make us like it? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple. Our brains are basically lazy. The key idea here is something called perceptual fluency. Just think of it like mental efficiency. Your brain has to process an insane amount of information every single second. So when it comes across something it's seen before, it's just easier. It processes it faster with less effort. So it all comes down to this simple three-step process. First, you're exposed to something repeatedly. Step 2, your brain gets way better at processing it. That's the perceptual fluency kicking in. And then, and this is the crucial part, step 3, your brain misinterprets that feeling of ease, that speed, as a feeling of positivity. Basically, easy processing feels good, so we just assume the thing itself must be good. All right, so clearly this is a really powerful force. And as you can probably guess, it's used everywhere, from marketing to media, you name it. But it's not foolproof. In the real world, there are some really important limits to when this works and when it completely fails. The most obvious place you see this is in advertising, right? I mean, why do you see the same commercials over and over again? It's not just to remind you to buy something, it's to build that perceptual fluency. A brand that feels familiar starts to feel safe and trustworthy, often for no other reason than you've seen its logo 1,000 times before. But here's the thing, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Research shows that for new products, all that exposure is fantastic. It builds that essential trust from scratch. But for big, established brands that you already know, more exposure can actually backfire. It just reminds you of all the things you already associate with that brand, both the good stuff and the bad. And there's a limit. More is definitely not always better. A huge analysis of over 200 experiments found a really clear sweet spot. It seems that our liking for something tends to peak somewhere between 10 and 20 exposures. After that, it can level off or even start to go down. Remember that song on the radio? This is why hearing it for the 100th time can make you absolutely hate it all over again. And here is the single most important catch. The mere exposure effect really only works for things that you feel neutral or maybe slightly positive about to begin with. If you already have a strong negative opinion about something, seeing it more will not make you like it. In fact, studies show it will probably make you dislike it even more. So what does all this mean for you and me? Well, it points to a pretty profound truth about how our minds work, one that really challenges the way we think about our own decisions. Robert Zajonc summed up his entire life's work with this one simple, powerful phrase: preferences need no inferences. What he meant was that our feelings, our likes and dislikes, they often come first. They don't need a logical reason. They don't need a conscious thought process to form. We feel first, and then we use our rational brains to come up with justifications later. And that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? We all like to think of ourselves as rational people, carefully weighing our options. But if our preferences can be shaped by something as simple and unconscious as repeated exposure, how much of what you like, from your brand of coffee to your political candidate, is a genuine choice, and how much is just the quiet, comfortable hum of familiarity? It's something to think about.